What's up everybody, Richard here, just driving to Asda, adhering to the guidelines, going to get some food for the week. So I thought I'd make a quick video. I've been getting asked the same kind of questions over the past few weeks and seeing the same kind of answers from other people. So I thought I'd touch in with my opinion on the economic side of what we're going through just now with the whole coronavirus thing. So loads of people are asking whether or not we're going through a crash, and what I'm seeing is a lot of people, property investors mainly, saying that, talking about there's a crash just now and this is how we can capitalise on it. I think they are using it as leverage to try and get new investment parties on board, but I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how there's a crash and property prices are going down and all that. So do I think there is a crash going on? Well, that again is just my opinion. Like I always say in these videos, a quick disclaimer, what I say in these videos is purely opinion, it's totally impartial. I have data to back up my opinion, but whether or not you agree with that might be totally different. You might be looking at different data, so please don't take anything I say as fact. So, are we going through a crash? Well, in my personal opinion, no, we're not going through a crash just now. Now, that is not to say that I don't believe we're going to be experiencing a crash in the next, say, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, something like that. But I think the people who are trying to capitalise on a crash, which quite frankly isn't there just now, are trying to play their cards too early. Now, I understand the logic behind why people might think we're experiencing a crash just now. When we look at other asset classes, we look at stocks, FX, we look at all the stuff with CFDs and how oil went negative and all that stuff. Yes, there's a lot of volatility there, but those naturally are volatile assets. Property are not as volatile. You can't day trade property the same way you can day trade and swing trade and scalp these other assets. So I understand why people who maybe their gambit is other asset classes, looking at the view of the market as a whole and seeing the volatility and thinking that it may draw down into property prices as well. But it's very odd for me seeing it from people who I would have considered property professionals, because it's very clear to me that we're not experiencing a crash just now. When you look at online sales portals and stuff like that, your Rightmove, Zoopla, all that kind of stuff, we're not seeing any more discounted properties than is normal. It's normal for people to have a property on the market a little bit too long, look to discount it and get it sold off quicker. That happens in every market cycle because maybe there's less desire to buy in the area. It doesn't strictly mean there's any type of crash or correction or anything like that going on. So when we look at stuff like that, and that's stuff everyone has access to, so if you're looking to see how that adds up in your area, go onto Rightmove, type in your own postcode on the portal and select maybe half a mile radius around your postcode, click it to newest, and newest will show you the newest properties listed but also changed, so you can see ones that have recently been reduced. There's not really much going on, and to be fair, estate agents aren't really doing much just now. The conveyancing process in Scotland is a little bit slower and surveyors are pretty much not working at the moment. So it's very hard, and I don't understand why people can say that we are experiencing a crash just now. Now, with me saying that, like I said earlier on in the video, I obviously believe that we're going to experience something like that at some point. Now, how do we get to that point from here until then? So nobody can put a timeline on when something like that is going to happen. We can't put an exact timeline on. I think we'll experience some form of crash in probably the next 12 to 24 months. We'll see a lot of similarities with certain assets like the Dow Jones and stuff like that, which will lead towards the kind of criteria that was fit in 2007 and 2008, but no two things are always the same. It's just always good to refer back to stuff we had before and see what's happening in the markets today and how that could, point towards us experiencing something similar. Unlike 2007, 2008, where it was mortgage bonds and badly underwritten mortgage loans, I actually think what will be the catalyst for this one is missold car finance. And I'm the first one to say I've had car finance missold to me twice. Now, I'm happy about it because it was two cars that on paper I couldn't afford at the time, but I had the earnings to show it, but it was just in a company that I hadn't filed any accounts for. And without those missold car finances. I wouldn't have the cars that I'd have wanted at those points. Now, I know people that it's happened to with Bentleys, McLarens, all that kind of stuff, and I think these missold car loans is what's going to be the next catalyst. Now, how does that affect property, and how does what's happening in the world just now point us towards where we get to that point of a crash? So the logical way to think about that is the kind of domino effect from what's going on just now. So I had a couple of people contact me about repossession purchases, of which we've done one or two before, done one ourselves and one for an investor. And repossession purchases can be quite tough. Repossession companies, especially those based in England like AMG Group and stuff like that, they're very, very hard to negotiate with, because they're dealing with an asset that's already been repossessed that they want to now sell. So it's not like you're stopping the repossession. So you don't always get, the discount you'd imagine you'd get on a repo property. So, like I said, someone messaged me a couple of days ago wanting to get involved in some repo purchases. Obviously, I think they've just seen me, know that I do property stuff, and thought I'll just message him, and oh Jesus Christ, went through a fucking hole in the ground, and I'll be able to see if he can point me in the right direction. So I said to him, I was like, what's your logic for the whole repo purchase thing? And they went, oh well, people will obviously be, unfortunately missing mortgage payments just now, missing bridging payments, whatever, any type of lending they're using on the properties, they'll be missing them just now. So that's an opportunity for us to go in and purchase that house at probably a discount. But the coronavirus thing as a whole has obviously been going since last year. But in the UK, in terms of like the economy, it's only been actively affecting us for the last 5 or 6 weeks. So that's only one missed mortgage payment or two missed mortgage payments. I don't know how much you guys watching know about lending, but that's not enough to repossess a house. Now, there are going to be people that have been in financial stress before this, who maybe this coronavirus thing was enough to tip them over the edge and put them into a position where they need to be repossessed. But there's 1,000 things that could do that. There's not going to be any more really repossessions just now than there is any other time of the year, and that's just a fact. Actually, what we need to look at, and why I say the 12-month timeline, is when we look at how the mortgage payments and the repossessions will be affected. If we look now, people are maybe missing one mortgage payment, they're maybe missing two mortgage payments, they're not missing anything drastic. But when we look into next year, people will maybe have missed by then 6 or 7 payments, made a couple, landed in arrears a little bit. But that's when we'll start to see the fractures that are happening now turn into real breaks, and that'll create over leveraged portfolios that will have to be offloaded at a discount and stuff like that. But I think it might just be a lack of experience for some people, thinking that maybe one missed mortgage payment would mean that you can capitalise on a house now. It's not really how it works. But what we need to think about is how understanding the lenders are going to be in this situation as well. So I just moved my camera around there, it was getting a little bit too bright. So yeah, like I was saying, so the understanding of the lenders. So people think, obviously, lenders, you think of lenders and you think, they're kind of not the most understanding people in the world, especially when we have not property lenders, but companies out there like Wonga and all that kind of stuff. Like, lenders in some situations do take advantage of people, but lenders are going to be in a very precarious situation just now as well. Hence why they're changing, their loan to values, making their criteria a little bit more stringent. They're doing that to protect themselves, because look back at 2007, 2008 again, just cast our eyes back. Northern Rock had people in over-leveraged mortgages that caused them to go under. The lenders aren't going to be, there's going to be casualties in the lending market as well. Hence why so many lending products have been pulled off the market completely for now, or at least paused for now. So lenders have a choice. They can either start adding up arrears, and repossession costs lenders money as well. They will get the asset eventually, but sometimes there's a court process to go through, having to get CCJs and all that kind of stuff, bailiff processes, debt collection, all that, all costs money. And if it's not successful, it's a cost that's been put out for nothing. So I personally think, and a couple of the property experts and advisors to me that I've spoken to are in agreement with my opinion on this, that lenders are going to extend their, or increase their understanding of missed payments before repossession. So let's say a lender has a rule of, if you miss 8 months worth of mortgage payments, they'll look to start repossessing your house. So some lenders will obviously go forward with wage arrestment and all that kind of stuff first. Understand, like, make you do budget sheets and all those kind of things to show whether or not it's affordable for it, because some people might be in a situation where they just stop paying because they can't be arsed or something obviously very stupid, but it's not always because people are struggling. It could be a bad breakup, a divorce, and somebody going, I'm not paying that mortgage if he or she's living there. You know, there's so many different reasons. So I think lenders are going to have to be more understanding about this process. So like I said, if their criteria is 8 months, or they might have to put up to 12 or 16 or something like that. So that's why I'm saying this 12-month to 24-month period, because lenders might go, we're looking at having to repossess, 10,000 homes just now under our current criteria. How can we avoid that? Because one, it's going to give them a very bad reputation, and two, it's going to sap their resources dry. So they've kind of got no choice but to extend that and try and help the proprietors of those properties. And the thing is, this is going to affect lenders, landlords, very successful investors. It's going to affect loads of people who have maybe left themselves slightly more exposed. It's obviously going to affect people who are in unfortunate states of financial hardship, whether that be through debts that are their fault, like too many credit cards or whatever, or whether it's through lack of employment just now. There's so many different reasons. So to wrap this all up, are we going through a crash just now? In my opinion, no. People are obviously welcome to disagree with that. If people are obviously more into other asset classes, you will maybe see it differently. But from a property investor's perspective, we're not going through a crash just now. There's been no drastic change in prices. I've spoken to some of my contacts in London, contacts in the east coast of Scotland. We're not seeing any huge drawdown in property prices. I think we will see that eventually in 12 months, 24 months, when people's houses actually do start getting repossessed, and especially people dealing with off-market purchases. You'll get loads of opportunities coming forward to you, but just now I don't think it's a time to sit on your hands. We've still got an offer that's in just now that we're not planning on renegotiating, that we're going to go forward with as soon as we're able to, really. We're waiting for architects and stuff like that, so we'll still go through with that. You don't need to sit on your hands just now, but loads of investors maybe won't stand the test of time just now because they're either too thin in the game, or they're just not prepared to wait out for these opportunities, and they might have another opportunity in a different industry that will take their eye off, and they might go there. So I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions. If you disagree with me, I'm always up for a healthy financial debate. It's something that's interesting to me, so I wouldn't be bothered. But yeah, that's just my 2 pence on it. I don't think we're going through a crash just now, but if you're looking to capitalise on a crash, make sure your funding is ready for the next year, 2 years, and you'll be able to capitalise on discounted purchases then. I nearly forgot to say bye there, how rude of me. So thank you very much for spending your time watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I enjoy making content, especially during this kind of climate where we're not really able to get out and do much. I urge you all obviously to stay home, don't travel about doing anything crazy. If you're looking to purchase properties, try and get some online viewing set up, and that will do you a bit more good than going out and viewing houses with other people. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like. If you didn't enjoy it, feel free to dislike it. There's also a wee love heart thing you're welcome to click. I don't know if that means you fancy me or something like that, but if that's what it means, feel free to click it as well. I won't judge. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be kept up to date with our content, and if you have any difference of opinion, let me know, drop it in the comments and we can have a chat about it.